BetOnline remains your number one source for all your college basketball betting this season. Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. Here's your man Lloyd Spence, and listen, you'll find the latest odds, bracket contests, team matchups, and game trends all at BetOnline. Updated odds for everything from live games to conference championships, right through the Final Four, which is going down this weekend, and the championship game. Listen, BetOnline is your college basketball headquarters this season. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to receive your bonus. BetOnline.ag is where the game starts, and you can tell them the noisemaker sent you.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this move in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. That's that popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Burn Creek Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's name, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Welcome to BLEAV in the ACC, or as I like to call it, the anti-Aaron Rodgers show. Because that's pretty much what's on sports media 24/7 now.
Especially Get Up.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, Lord, greedy, we get it. You're a Jets fan.
I get it. But thank God it's not our life. So, Kendrick Haskins is here over there, looking very svelte. Coach Jr., a.k.a. Charlie Ward, is down there with one of the greatest smoothies he's probably ever made. He's probably feeling real good.
Look at his look on his face.
Like, he looked, I saw him sip it, and the look that he had when he finished was like a look of pure satisfaction.
And then the look of admiration he had for it when you said it was the best smoothie he's ever had.
I'm just saying, listen, I got up and made my coffee this morning, and once again, I nailed it. There's something about when you can nail the ingredients. Makes you feel good inside.
I just keep drinking my prepackaged protein shake. That doesn't sponsor the show. So,
well, then they can't get a shout out. But listen, we are glad to be here with you guys today for another edition of BLEAV in the ACC. And interesting, I think it will be interesting discussion we will be having today about some of the specific things that are going on in the transfer portal, because while we were absent one from another, as the old church would say, we had a situation occur that was not really shocking or surprising, but very interesting in that Louisville star guard Haley Van Lith decided, my work here is done here at U of L. I have my degree. I've played 3 years here. The time is now spent. Rather than spending one more year here at the University of Louisville, I shall take my talents elsewhere, which by itself is not necessarily a big deal. But what escalated it into being a big deal was that immediately upon announcing her transfer portal intentions, her entire team got on Twitter and said, "We good over here. We ain't worried about that. We gonna be fine. We in the lab working," and which made people go, So, in addition to that high-profile transfer, along with some others, because yesterday, I guess was it yesterday in the afternoon or last night, we had another high-profile transfer from Duke. Their leading scorer, Celeste Taylor, I've decided also that it's time for me to make a move. And so this has been women's college basketball is having a moment right now. They are having a moment with all of these movements, transfers, high-profile transfers. And so we wanted to bring the transfer portal realities here to Believe in the ACC today, and just kind of lay it out for everybody and say, what is going on? So we just happen to have a guy that's right there in the midst of it, the great Kendrick Haskins. So, Kendrick, what is going on?
Well, the Haley Van Lith situation, I mean, you kind of got the feeling that you could tell she was kind of homesick when we was talking to her when we was out in Seattle.
Okay.
And so it still was kind of a surprise. And then I said there was you could tell that the team wasn't all together clicking throughout the season.
Right.
I don't want to necessarily say it was all her, but you could just tell that something just wasn't right all season long. Yeah. They was able to pull it together at the end of the season. I said the way that the teammates that are remaining, even some of the teammates that graduated, like CC Carr, how they all came out in support of Jeff Walls, was eye-opening. I mean, it could just be a thing of a loyalty thing, but I haven't seen that happen with any other transfer portal people. So it makes you wonder. And so, of course, we'll never get the full story, but best of luck to her. And I said whenever we had the chance to talk to her, she was always gracious, always very nice, never really was standoffish towards the media. She was always great with the media. Her dad was a character, but again, they always was nice to us. And you know me, if you're nice to me, I'm good. So,
by the way, not the first dad character we've had at the University of Louisville, by far.
Nor the last.
I'm looking at you, Mr. Siva.
Right. Right. Yeah,
look at you, Mr. Russ Smith, Daddy.
Big Russ. Big Russ was there for the 2013 celebration, and Little Russ wasn't.
Oh, but listen, it happens. It happens.
It happens, especially in today's climate, and it's suspected that she's going back out west. This is as much as I can say right now, but it's suspected that she's going back west, closer to home. And best of luck to her. I mean, she was a great player. She was great for the game, and U of L has shown that they can lose a star player and rebuild and be back in the Final Four within a couple of years. And so, best of luck to her, and best of luck to the program.
Charlie, I want to talk about something that I know you, as a coach and as a player, have dealt with tremendously, and are still dealing with. How important, on any level, is team chemistry? How important is it? Do people have to like each other to play at a high level, or is that not that big of a deal as long as we're all on the same page? What's your preference as a coach and as a player?
Team chemistry is huge. I mean, whether you like each other or not, the pieces have to fit as far as the mindset of understanding your team. Your teammates, I should say. And I was with Alan speaking, and one of the things he talked about.
Alan?
Alan.
I'm not familiar with Alan.
Who's Alan?
Who's Alan B?
Alan Houston.
Oh, that's a good buddy, Alan Houston.
Yeah, y'all know who Alan Houston is.
At least he said Alan this time.
Right. I am familiar with Alan Houston, yes.
And that was a Charlie Ward Humble Flex.
I was just trying to make a point here about
Your
team
point is well
chemistry.
taken. Your point is well taken. Amidst
Because
your humble flex.
It's been so long.
Right, yeah,
what? I, okay, my point is, Al said that Ian Latrell Sprewell, when Latrell came to the Knicks,
yeah,
they had to, you know, sit down and talk through, how they were going to go about, playing together, which, both were scorers
yeah.
mentality wise, and but had to understand that they both could be successful, but they had to defer at certain times. And so that made, once they got together and we were able to, make a run to the finals that year. So team chemistry is big when everyone understands their roles and everyone's willing to play their roles. And so whether the coaches giving the roles or the players accepting whatever they've been working to achieve, the trust that they receive from the coaches as far as what they can do. And team chemistry is huge when everyone's on the same page from that perspective. Now, off the court, it does help to be able to coexist, be cordial. You don't have to be buddy buddy. You don't have to hang around each other all the time, but you have to be able to have a healthy respect for your teammates if you're going to be successful as far as team chemistry is concerned. And I know sometimes, you know, there I've been on teams where they did, there may be a riffraff here and there. Uh, but if you want to win at a high level, you have to be on the same page, even if you do have riffraffs throughout, the season or whatever it may be. You have to sit down and talk to one another.
First of all, Latrell Sprewell and Allen Houston being talked about in the same sentence as coexisting is the most polar opposite statement I think I've heard on this show. those, those two guys are nothing alike.
But if you think about it, though, it's amazing because I mean these are two guys who essentially played the same positions.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And both prolific scorers.
And
Both
yeah,
of
both
them.
great
Yeah.
scorers. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's a great example, Charlie, of how two people from two different worlds essentially can come together and coexist with a good conversation. I'll go back and say and just kind of add that I don't know any background stuff at all, but I just from observation, to me it felt very obvious because if you follow Louisville women's basketball teams, one of the things that I have always felt like Jeff has been a master of is developing a continuity and a team chemistry within his team. They all seem to play for one another. And it was obvious that they were playing for one another. It was never a question of we like each other, we get along. We did. To be honest with you, to my memory, and Kendrick, you can speak to this better than I can because you've covered them longer than I have. But I've never seen a Jeff Walls team that didn't connect all the way from one to whatever. This year, you saw it very early, and it was very obvious, and it took them a long time to get on the same page. They just were not. It felt like they were never on the same page. They never celebrated the highs, and the lows felt low. Like you could see the body language on the bench when players weren't getting what they thought they should get, or passes weren't made that should have been made, or plays weren't. You could see it, and that's what to me made their run to the Elite Eight so shocking because you didn't know if it would come together. It didn't feel like it would come together, but in true Jeff Walls fashion, it did. They got past it for some reason, and I think if I'm being honest, and Charlie, you'll like this. I think Mikasa played a massive part in that because her ability to just kind of stand in the middle and she has a peacemaker like spirit about her, and so we don't know. I don't know her like that, but my perception of her is that she can stand in the midst of chaos and bring peace, and it felt like her playing point guard did that. for this team.
Yeah, and the funny thing is when I was talking to Mikasa last week, um, I asked her about Jeff as a coach, just X's and O's, and one of the first things she said was like Haley loved Jeff's coaching style and like the way he could draw up plays and stuff. And Haley said the same thing when we was talking to her in Seattle.
Right.
And so there's obviously there was a respect there for his coaching prowess, but that's
I'm not sure Jeff was the problem. If I'm being honest with you, yeah.
Right, but we'll never know.
Speculate all day. Yeah.
Right, we can speculate forever. But like I said, they did pull it together at the end of the season. When the craziest thing I ever seen was after their Sweet 16 game, when they had the 20-minute cool down for the other team, instead of just chilling in the locker room, they all come running out of the locker room and running up and hugging their families in the stands. I've never seen that before. And they hug, and not only are they hugging their own family members, they're hugging their teammates' family members. And so, and Haley was right in the middle of all of that. And so, the chemistry wasn't too fractured. But at the same time, decisions had probably already been made at that point, I would imagine, because
maybe, yeah.
Because she came out and said she was transferring 2 weeks after.
Right.
Decisions had probably already been made. Everybody was probably at peace with it at that point. But you going along to get it along at that point too, so you can continue your season. Yeah. And so, it is what it is.
So the just to kind of wrap, I guess not wrap, but all this up in,
that was good. We're moving on
in a bow. Wrap all this up in kind of a bow.
Yeah.
We've seen it started to happen in the men's game, or football, basketball. It's been happening for quite some time. I'm starting to understand, like in the minor sports, like softball. I'm sure it happens in lacrosse and all the other spots as well that we don't really follow. But none of it, you can make no sense of some of it because you've had every type of player transfer.
Yeah.
Since the transfer portal has come a thing. And I mean, you got the lead tackler for one school that's a Power 5 school going to another Power 5 school.
Yeah.
And so, like, that makes no sense. Like,
starting quarterbacks are leaving to be a starting quarterback somewhere else. Yeah. Same.
I mean, you got top recruits leaving schools before they even set foot on campus.
Right.
So this whole transfer portal thing doesn't make sense from the standpoint that it has everyone's had their hand in it. You know, it started out as, you can, for those that were disgruntled or wanted a new opportunity in the mindset, of people who were normally leaving before when there was, consequences. The ones that were leaving were the ones who were disgruntled, in the sense that they weren't playing enough, or they were whatever, they didn't like the coach, or the coach left, or whatever it may be. But in this day and age, I mean, it has trickled over to everybody at any time, regardless of where you are, want to move, and this is no different.
Well, listen, to your point, Charlie, how about freshman Lauren Betts, who was the number one recruit at Stanford last year? Just a freshman. She's a freshman, so I can't imagine she thought, because she's 6'7". I get it. She's a talented girl, but you're a freshman coming into a championship type team. Stanford is only 2 years removed from winning the national championship. And so I can't imagine she thought she was going to walk in off her high school team and be a superstar in her first year at Stanford, but apparently she did, and she didn't get the time she wanted. She's transferring. You're like, I don't understand. Like, what? Sitting on the bench 1 year frustrated you that much where you had to that you got to transfer out? So she's in the transfer portal. Um,
But
Go ahead.
it's an option. I mean, it's where it's an easy option to be able to just jump ship whenever, and when it is easy, and there are no consequences. I call it consequences. Like where you have to sit out or whatever the case may be. It makes it even easier to just say, "Hey, I don't want to be here anymore, and so I'm just going to leave." Um,
Is this also the, I don't say fallout. I don't have a better word than fallout, but uh, is this also part of the AAU culture? Because this transfer portal feels very AAU-ish,
it
right?
is
It is very
100
AAU-ish, yeah.
Yeah.
travel ball.
So
It is.
it's amazing that we've brought that culture into college sports, and we're okay. We're all okay with it because we're like, well, if you don't like it, just go, return the shoes and go, go buy you some shoes somewhere else. It's just that simple. But there
No,
are some interesting names in the portal, and ones to take note of. Like I said, Lauren Betts is one. I don't think she's made a decision yet. We just saw Jada Curry leave Cal. The leading scorer for Cal is headed to the University of Louisville. Who else? There's some other names out there. Oh, Camille Hobby is leaving NC State. Uh, there's some. This is on the women's side, which, by the way, for the women, I don't know why, but this feels like a good thing in some aspects, in the sense of their game is already trending upward at a rapid rate. So maybe some of these transfer will be a good thing. I don't know. But it's interesting. The Celeste Taylor thing, I'll be honest with you, that to me is more shocking than the Haley Van Lip thing. Because Celeste Taylor seemed to have it going at Duke. Like she finally had
but
figured it out. Or
is
at
that
least it
number?
seemed like she had.
Is that the point guard?
That's the point guard. She's out of
Number
there.
30?
Yeah. She's out of there.
Yeah. I mean, I I mean I don't know her.
Right.
I'm just on the outside looking in,
Yeah.
like all of us. Um, I don't know if Duke's style kind of meets her game.
And maybe that's why she did it.
Um, I mean, they're scoring like 40 some points a game, or whatever it is. It's real low every game,
Yeah.
and she seems more of an up tempo type of player.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
Charlie
so
talked about it all season how they couldn't score.
And he was right. He was correct.
so I don't. So I can understand that one.
Yeah.
If I don't, like I said, I'm just outside looking in from
Sure.
game, from the way she plays and the way they play. Um, didn't seem like she was a good fit for their style, and I don't know what that style is in the sense of what they're talking about, because they could be talking about you know playing more up tempo, but they just don't have the actual players to get that done. And so you can talk about different styles, but you also have to have the players to make it work.
Yeah. Well, equally as interesting on the men's side is specifically in the ACC, what people are talking about is the Joe Clark like cleaning of the house that Kenny Payne has done at the University of Louisville. Essentially walking into the locker room and telling basically the majority of the team, "Thank you, but your services are no longer needed." Um, and then the ones that I guess he did not say that to, or he left it open for them, or maybe he did. I don't know. Kendrick, you can maybe bring some clarity to it. But like Jalen Withers is headed to North Carolina. L. Ellis is out, and I, his his departure, he's in the transfer portal. Is he transferring or is he kind of hedging his bet a little bit?
That's the question, because he also entered his name in the NBA
That's
draft,
what
but
I thought. Yeah.
left his college eligibility open. Um, 24/7 Sports at one point was projecting Mackenzie. I can't pronounce his last name, from Duke, the recruit from Duke.
Mm-hmm.
They were they had U of L in his crystal ball,
Really?
and so I don't know if that played a role in uh, L's decision.
He saw himself not playing much at all.
I don't think it's that. I don't.
Oh.
I think the shots weren't going to be there as much.
Oh yeah, because L likes to shoot.
He likes to shoot, and he whatever. That may, I mean, I don't want to put him out like that, because that's speculative. But yeah, because it's been the last month has been kind of weird with L, because like he came out, said he's going to the NBA. Okay, fine. Then he left his eligibility open, and then literally says, if I come back to school, it would be Louisville. I can't see myself being comfortable anywhere else.
Right.
Well, then 2 weeks later, he's in the transfer portal. So,
and again, that may be more Kenny than L. Like maybe L's initial thoughts were, I want to come back to Louisville, and Kenny was like,
yeah. The rest of them, like Jalen Withers, wasn't really a surprise. It's a surprise that he ended up in North Carolina.
There we go, right on cue. Right on cue. There you go.
We wouldn't believe in the ACC if the phone didn't ring.
There you are, Joey.
But like I said, Jalen Withers wasn't a surprise. Wheeler wasn't a surprise. The people that stayed were pretty. We kind of thought L would stay, but it's not surprising that he's leaving. But most of the ones that we thought would stay are staying. So, and then we see they brought in a big recruiting class, and with Sky Clark and Flowers made everything official yesterday, and you just go from there. I mean, Sky Clark and Trenton Flowers are both considered guards. They probably could still use another guard, but they're loaded at forward, and so they should make a massive jump from last season.
The rumor is that's trending online now is that the University of Louisville will be back in the mix. I don't know if it'll be a Baylor type resurgence, but they'll be back in the mix next year. Charlie, I'll ask you: do you have an issue with Kenny doing this? Because we don't
100% know that he did that. So
well, what I mean by him doing it is that really, when you have a season like they had, don't you have to do something drastic to combat it? I guess is the question I'm asking you, Charlie.
Well, man, I mean, we've seen it. I've seen it firsthand here at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Norville.
That's one of the reasons why I was asking, because you watched it, yeah.
How he, got his team together, essentially. Got the players in there that he felt would be able to help him. They called it the right fit. I think that's the new coin term now, which is accurate. You got to have the right fit of players with the right mindset is the key of wanting to compete for a spot. And, they've lost some good quality players because of, they wanted something that they couldn't provide as far as, what they want. Treshaun Ward is a great example. The McLean kid is another example of, good players leaving because they wanted something different than, what the coaches were wanting, was willing to give. And, that's part of it. And so, when you talk about Coach Payne or any coach that has had a tough season and they're new, they're going to in this day and age, you can go and build differently, different ways through high school recruiting, junior college, and also the transfer portal, to meet certain needs that you may have, which
You,
gives you some experience.
you know Coach Ham very well. Is he? Is he? I know he lost a couple of guys to the portal. I know Cleveland didn't. Matthew Cleveland. Excuse me. I think he left, and I'm not sure. He may have been the only one. No, Caleb. You said Caleb Mills. Uh, is he having? What are his thoughts? I mean, you may have talked to him, maybe not. I don't know, but what do you think is? What are his thoughts to the transfer portal having to build this way? Because it is very different. Like this is a new alliteration, and it changes and shifts dramatically the expectation of a year-to-year circumstance. So now, where before transfer portal, you would probably administratively be willing to say, let's give this guy some time. He's got his freshman. They got to learn the system. So at least there's a 2, possibly 3-year window. Whereas now, with the transfer portal, it's like, hey man, why we ain't winning next year? You know?
Yeah. And some of it schools go because, like, you can sit there and say that North Carolina
Yeah,
last year,
yeah,
they were returning quite a few of their pieces that got them to the Final Four, and they didn't even make the tournament last year,
Right.
for whatever reason. And so it really depends on, the mindset, um, injuries, all those types of things, regardless of who you bring in. Um, but we do know that experience wins, talent experience wins,
mm-hmm.
that teams have good chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and so I know Coach Ham, I had talked to him about the team, but I didn't know that those two guys left. I'm not sure where they're going.
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb Mills came from Houston. I mean, Houston's been to, doing well
He's
since
Yeah.
he
actually
left.
headed to Memphis. He's actually headed to Memphis, if you were curious.
Who was that?
Caleb.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, so it's just interesting to see, um, you know, how, how they go about their business. Because I do believe, in my opinion, um, they're going to have to make some adjustments to their system.
Yeah.
And because in our day and age, you can't run one system and that be it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there has to be a change in the system, and trying to figure out how they can get players that can fit what they're trying to do, but also they got to tweak a little bit here and there to get the best out of their guys. And so it'll be interesting to see how they go about building their new team. The transfer portal does help when it comes to not just having to depend on young guys,
Right.
um, but you also need some veteran guys that can get the job done. Now they do have a couple of players that's coming in that's pretty good. Um, I think this Bo Bowen kid, that that's that's coming in. I think he's coming in. He's committed. Is not bad, but he's still young, and so you don't know what you're going to get. Um, but I'll be interested to see how they go about the business. I know they're going to hit the transfer portal and some. They also have some high school recruits, but that seems to be the norm.
I want to ask this final question before we move on to some other things. Um, from a strategy and planning perspective, Charlie and Kendrick, are we going to start to see college basketball, both men and women's, in the early part of the season? And I hate to use this term, but I can't think of a better term right now. Are we going to start to see coaches kind of dumb it down a little bit at the start of the season because of the nature and the unique mix that you're bringing in now? Because it is a mix of, like you said, Charlie, it's freshmen and some that have experience and some that are veteran. And everybody, you can't theoretically and honestly think everybody's going to get on the same page that fast. So you kind of have to maybe simplify what you do a little bit in the beginning and then just gradually maybe, feed everybody as the season goes along. Or will you see some coaches stick to their guns, like learn the system and we'll just take our lumps?
Well, don't most teams kind of like roll it out slowly at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season anyway? And so I that probably really won't be any different because you a lot of times, especially with freshmen, a lot of times they don't get to campus till June. So,
Sometimes when I watch teams like Michigan State and stuff like that, you like, man, how are they this in sync this fast? and I don't know. But again, if you have, like you said, Charlie, if you're running the same system all the time, and everybody understands that, then maybe it's easier. But I think now with the way college basketball is, it's kind of harder to stick to those guns like that.
I think it goes from program to program because you talk about Michigan State. Izzo's teams are usually mature teams.
Right.
It's rare that you see Izzo teams with a whole bunch of freshmen running around out there. But then the adverse to that is Kentucky. I mean, they're usually a young team, so yeah, they do intermittently roll stuff out. And everything's not there.
Right, he has no choice. Yeah.
Right, and that's why. Typically, honestly, you usually see Kentucky get beat early in the season because they got young players and they haven't installed everything and everybody's still trying to learn everything. It's when he has the experienced teams or the super talented teams like the Anthony Davis and the Carl Towns teams where they're okay early in the season. And I think most teams with young teams like that are, they intermittently roll stuff out, and then the teams that have a lot of experience coming back, like Izzo's teams usually have. They can go ahead and put everything in. And everything is already in because they already know the system.
Yeah. Well, listen, we have the luxury of not only having a state championship coach and a Heisman Trophy winner on our
and somebody who calls Allen Houston Al.
And right, someone who has the opportunity to call Al, which affords us the opportunity to get into some other stuff. And since this is an ACC show, we've got some extended ACC conversation that we'd like to have today. So one in particular that is interesting to me that I've been kind of picking people's brain about is, and I know you've gone through some contract negotiations, Charlie, so I'm very curious to hear what you say about this. Our guy, Lamar Jackson, is in a very bizarre place. This is, to me, one of the more bizarre negotiations that I've seen because his team doesn't want to pay him what he wants to be paid, but they do want to keep him, and they're showing him by bringing in guys who he's always wanted to be with, i.e. the new signing of Odell Beckham Jr. to a nice hefty 1-year deal. Well, if you're Lamar, what's holding this up? Is it the ego of wanting to make a similar amount to what Deshaun is making per year? Or is it something else that we're not seeing? Like, because I don't understand what's holding this deal up. I really don't. If I'm being honest, I don't understand what's holding this deal up.
I tell you, it's $50 million in difference.
but $50 million where? Because here's the reason why I'm pushing back on that just a little bit, Kendrick, is that to me, and Charlie, you tell me what you think as well. If you need to know that you're the highest paid quarterback in the league, then therein lies our problem. Because why do you need that? Like, why do you really need that? Why is that so important? But if you need your money guaranteed, I got you. Because I think that's where the Ravens may be. Like, they're saying, bro, how about we give you 7 years? You can take your $250. We'll guarantee the whole $250 at 7 years, and we're good. You got all your money.
They haven't guaranteed that, though. That's the difference. The difference is $50 million in the guaranteed money.
But see, it depends on what he wants per year, like you just said. If he said I gotta have it at $50 a year, Well, why? Why do you need it at 50 a year? That's the
He
part
wants it guaranteed. He wants it fully guaranteed. That's what the difference is. I think
Well,
they're right on the price. It's just how much he wants guaranteed and how much they're willing to guarantee.
but if I'm the Ravens, fixing the guarantee to me is easy. It's no different than what Kansas City did.
Therein lies the issue. They won't do it.
Well, I don't know. Charlie, make sense of this. You've been through these negotiations. Make sense of it for him.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs, so it's hard for me to speculate. I don't have any insight on it, and just pure guessing. And so I don't.
Well, this is an educated guess. This is a guy who's played in the league some years. I think you're qualified.
because it's to each his own in a lot of ways. Because it was, I know for me, when my first deal came up after my rookie deal, there was talk, but I wanted to stay in New York just because I just got an opportunity to be in the lineup in the rotation, and I wanted to stay, and so it wasn't a big to do for me. I was not searching. Of course, I'm as simple as can get. So it was not like I was going to sit out if I didn't get, there was no certain number. There was um, I guess the number was out there. There was only so much you could get at
Right.
that time, or you slot it for a certain amount based upon, your value. And so that's kind of what it was. And so if you look at it from that perspective, he feels like he should get a certain amount, and the team feels like they don't want to give him that certain amount, and I don't know why. Um, and he's doing what most people do, I guess, in a sense, where they're not going to participate. They're going to hold out
Yeah.
for what they feel contractually they deserve, and so I don't know who's at fault. But when it's all said and done, if it doesn't get done, everybody's at fault
Yeah.
because you know in a marriage, people are like, well, it was her fault, it was his fault, or whoever it may be. They want to point fingers, but it's both people at fault when there's a split because some ego gets in the way, pride gets in the way, and you can't make a decision based upon, or you can't come together because of pride, one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns, the deal with the Browns, it threw off the whole market. But you also have to look at two coming down the pike with Joe Burrow and the Chargers quarterback. Joe Burrow might end up running into the same issues as Lamar Jackson just because the organization he plays for is notoriously cheap.
Very
but why am I having a brain freeze on the Chargers quarterback?
Oh, Justin Herbert.
I don't think he's going to run into these issues, and so they're going to pass up Lamar. They'll pass up Lamar just because of the way that it goes. And then when essentially, if Lamar signs that franchise tag, he's going to be making less than Daniel Jones.
Right.
And so, come on, man.
Well, but again, I honestly feel like this is I don't know. This is also maybe the reason why he needs an agent, because if this is all about the guaranteed money, I think there's a path to guaranteeing the money if the years are correct. Because if it's only costing the team 25 million or 30 million a year, then that's not a difficult path to get to. We just got to get the years right. You know what I mean? But if you're saying, well, we're going to do 5 years at 50 million a year, well, I mean, there's a business side to this too, Lamar. You can do that, but you better pray OBJ stays healthy because you're not getting another receiver or lineman to block for you for the next 5 years because you're eating up the salary. I mean, that's just what it is. So it's
They'll be able to get. They'll just be rookies.
that's my point. They'll all be
they'll be
rookies.
You won't be
and
getting any free
you'll be
agents.
running for your life. I mean, a little bit anyway until they get up to speed. So I don't know. It's a very tricky thing, but I just thought I'd bring.
On the other side of that, though,
Yeah,
the salary cap is going to increase next year when the new money comes in.
it is, and there's some, but can you chase that every year though? Like I don't know. This is all.
I don't know if you saw the new prices for Sunday ticket.
Oh, I did.
Yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
Right. Shout out to YouTube TV who said, we own this now. And, it's not cheap. It is very much not cheap.
Did you know, not to get too far off subject, did you know that there is a deal that they couldn't charge less than DirecTV when they made their
takeover? Is that right? Wow. So that price was coming.
Because
the higher
the
price
deal,
was coming no matter what.
Not necessarily higher, but because I think if you get it before January 6th, is essentially the same price. But the deal is because the networks want people still to watch it on their networks and not just watching on Sunday Ticket all the time, is that they have to keep the prices somewhat high so people will still watch it for free.
Wow.
And so like when they was making their bids, they couldn't come in and say, all right, we're going to drop the price by $20. No, they had to either stay the same or raise it. So, So that's a deal that the NFL has with the networks. That's wild.
Wow. One other question that I wanted to ask on our some other stuff segment here that we're doing that we're closing out here with. Two very interesting off-season situations are about to occur, ladies and gentlemen. One is the destination of one Mr. Kyrie Irving, and two, the destination of one Mr. Zion Williamson, both Duke graduates. Well, not graduates. I won't say graduates. Duke alumni.
Former Duke alumni. Players. Former Duke
players. Who's in a more tenuous situation, Charlie? Kyrie or Zion?
No, they're both in different types of tenuous. Yeah. One at this point can't stay healthy, and the other one is a very talented player, but is different. Meaning he's very ISO heavy, and that's a team chemistry issue waiting to happen. And everywhere he's gone since LeBron left, he left LeBron because he wanted to be who he is today, as opposed to staying with LeBron and being a champion and helping to, the cause. He wanted to go and try to be his own person. And, he's had issues since. I mean, he went to Boston, I think it was.
Yep.
And then he ended up with the Nets because he couldn't get along with whoever it was at Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the Nets, he got in all the issues with, off the court, on the court, stuff. And now he's in Dallas. And so, I just think it's to a point where, if you bring him on, you know what you get. There's no hiding that deal.
Yeah.
And so it's just unfortunate because I think he's a very talented player, very smart guy.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, but he has this stigma now that you don't want to touch him because seems to be a chemistry issue, which I don't know if that's the case, but that's what people think.
Right.
And just his style of play, I know if I was on this team, it would be hard. Um,
Mm.
just because he's ball dominant, and he will play, he will pass, but he's a high volume type of player. Um, Meaning, if they double team him, he'll pass. But otherwise, if I got a one-on-one matchup, um, I'm going for what I
I'm
know.
taking that. Right.
And
I'm taking
yeah,
that. I
and
want to throw.
then
No, I'm just gonna
go
throw a
ahead.
number out at you guys real quick. And the number is a fraction, 114 out of 317. That is the amount of games that Zion has played in his 4-year tenure as a New Orleans Pelican. 114 games in 4 seasons, which is shocking, by the way. That is a shocking, shocking stat. Um,
Well, we know
and
the
yet
issue.
we still get highlight videos of two two uh two-footed under the leg dunks before the game. I he is by far one of the most fascinating experiments that we've ever seen in the NBA.
Yeah, he doesn't do himself any favors when he's out there doing that stuff right out there. Because I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say New Orleans has a practice gym where cameras
Probably,
and cell phone
probably.
video are not allowed.
Right.
He doesn't do himself any favors when he's in the arena before the game doing that stuff. you know,
But I mean, that's normal. Uh, what I mean by normal is he's doing some probably after the workouts. Just doing some of that stuff after he does it. There's I don't know if they have a practice gym at that arena.
I don't
I
think
know
they
they have
do
a.
because that's an
I think
older
they have a.
arena.
I think they have. I know they have off-site um, practice gym. But this is my take on Zion. Um, we've seen young players come in and some get it right after early injuries, a
Mm-hmm.
la Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
He had the ankle issues uh, early on, and people
Hmm.
were thinking he would be the same way because he missed a lot of games
Right.
and what have you. But what did Steph do? He matured, started taking care of his body, started training, doing all necessary things to make sure that these injuries had the surgeries and what have you to make corrections. But he started taking care of his body.
Yeah.
That is where Zion is going to have to make a shift. He is too heavy. People say
Yes.
his body type and all of that. I've
Oh,
Oh, that was.
there you go.
There you go. There you go.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
I've seen guys who's made drastic changes in their body by making a shift in their eating habits, their workout. So he's going to have to mature in that area before he's able to be the type of player that he wants to be, or any team want him to be. And so I think that's where he is right now. He's still 3 years in, and
4. This is
sometimes it's
well. I mean, that's
well, he
actually a
only
tricky question, Charlie, to say that he's 3 years in because
I don't think he's played
he's
two
like.
full seasons of
I
games yet.
was gonna say, from a play perspective, it's like a year and some change. Like,
But the thing is, though, if you're the Pelicans, you are painted into a corner because if you give up on him and then he does figure it out, now what? You've given up on maybe a generational star after 4 years and he figured it out. So I can
how
see
long do
why
you wait?
New Orleans is apprehensive on it.
But
I
how
mean,
long do you wait? Like,
Golden State waited on Steph, Philly waited on Embiid. I
well,
mean,
But I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna just say this.
Another one.
Charlie, you made a great point though. Because the part that I don't understand about Zion, if he was making little to no money, I'd be like, well, listen, man, he eating what he can eat because he's on a rookie contract and he's barely making, ends meet, but he's making really good money to the point where he could get a better diet. Because let's listen. The thing that nobody likes to talk about in any of these sports shows is the fact that his diet is not good. The guy is listed currently right now on ESPN at 284. 284 at 6'6". That's Shaq-like numbers with half the size. So it's shocking to see. Listen, let's put the freak athleticism aside. That's its own story. But the physics of it all is, bro, you can't play at that size. Like, you can't be 6'6" and play as violently as you play and expect there not to be body repercussions. And then at the same time, you're going to have to alter your weight. It's got to be, listen, LeBron is a big boy. LeBron is what, 260, 270?
Yeah, I mean, LeBron might be 280 himself.
He may be 280 himself.
LeBron's also, what, 3 or 4 inches taller. And like you said, LeBron spends $1 million a year on his body.
Right, it's proportional. It's all proportional, so it makes sense. He's got to follow that track. Or I'm telling you, right now, Zion
feels like, I mean, and saying we don't know, but it feels like LeBron's the type of dude that if Zion reached out, LeBron would
he
help
give him the
him.
Blueprint.
He'd help him in that. And so
really?
I don't know. I mean, body types and all that stuff. I mean, I agree with Charlie 100% that he's got to figure something out. Maybe if it's his training, because this is a hamstring. They kept his hamstring. He's been out since January 2nd with a hamstring injury.
It makes no sense.
That's clearly body stuff.
Yeah. And then you come out and say, well, I'd play, but I don't feel like Zion. And then the next day you're out doing Zion type stuff.
I mean, I guess that could be a thing of where he doesn't feel like he's in basketball shape, because obviously there's a difference between
he's not in basketball shape
and basketball shape, right? And so you going out in the playoff game and you're not in basketball shape. I can see it. I can see where he's coming from on that.
I can. It's fascinating because right now his career is trending more Greg Oden than it is LeBron James, and if he doesn't get a hold of this. And somebody tweeted, but texted me yesterday and said, man, is this mental? And I said, it's always been mental with him. I think this whole thing, his whole NBA career is all mental. Him not being there, him choosing to not truly discipline himself in his weight, all of that's mental, man. You got to choose to make better decisions. And it's sad to me because I think right now it doesn't appear there's any end in sight unless, and then this is the last thing I'll bring up with it, unless they decide to trade it. And maybe he wants to be traded. Maybe that's why he's doing some of the weird stuff you see him doing before these games. Maybe he wants to get out of New Orleans. Maybe he doesn't like it. Maybe he doesn't have the discipline to say no to a beignet. And he's like, I got to go somewhere. Maybe he's like, I got to go somewhere where they only eat fish. Like, I just...
Yeah, if you got a weight problem, New Orleans isn't exactly the place to be.
That ain't the city for you to be in. Beignets and po' boys.
Yeah, you need to be in California.
Go somewhere where they just eat sushi, bro. Like, that ain't it. That,
Yeah, New Orleans, Atlanta, those are not towns to be in. If you can't
say no to the food, New York.
You can't have a bad restaurant in New York.
and those restaurants are open 24/7, so you definitely don't want to be.
I know, I hear you guys, but everything's mental.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you choose not to, or whether you choose to, it's mental.
Very
true.
You're right. It goes through all those. I mean, it goes through the same filter.
Yep.
It's a choice that we have to come to, and I just think he has to make a shift in what his business is, understanding his craft. And sometimes that is maturity because we say he's been out for 4 years, 4 years now.
Yeah.
But when did he leave college?
Mm-hmm.
He left after his first year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he would be a rookie if he were to stay 4 years.
Great point.
Mm-hmm.
Great
And
point.
so from a maturation standpoint, see, we can speed the clock up, but sometimes it takes us longer to mature in the process because that's just the way life is, nature is.
Yeah.
And so, he would be a rookie if he would have stayed for 4 years,
Yeah.
or a second year player if he would have stayed for 3 years, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to take that into account. Everyone doesn't mature at the same rate, and so hopefully he can get to a point where he takes it serious, his health and getting the necessary assistance he needs because I mean, I'm on our guys about the same things, taking care of your body, making sure you're staying healthy because we have players that you know very talented, but they don't haven't taken that approach, that serious approach, even in high school. And we're not talking about spending $1 million on your body, but at least understand what rest looks like. Understand what your health and wellness, eating properly looks like from a foundational standpoint, and so that you can be healthy. You know,
He needs a Moses Malone.
That's it. You were boy, you
Because
were
Charles
in my
Barkley,
head
because Charles Barkley has told that story so many times about how Moses Malone helped him lose a bunch of weight so he could get on the floor.
by simply saying,
You need to lose
"Hey man, how
weight,
come I can't get on the floor?
right?
Because you're too fat, man." That's a quote. I'm not shading. That was the quote.
But you know what the difference is there? Charles Barkley had a vet.
He had a
At
vet.
this point, Zion's a vet on that team. Him and CJ. Well, I guess CJ McCollum is probably the.
CJ, and I don't know if CJ has the cachet to be
Well,
able to say to him,
trust me, someone has told him
Yeah.
what he needs to do.
But see, Moses actually worked out with Charles. You know what I mean, and he like really took him under his wing.
helped him
He
see
needs
the
he needs
path,
a.
yeah.
It feels like if he had a vet.
Trust me, someone
Have they
has
taken him
told
under
him.
his
somebody
wing
is
though?
doing it. Maybe
He,
again,
he,
maybe New
he
Orleans is
has
not the right place.
he has to make a choice because he does have vets on the team that work out and do all the necessary things to prepare themselves for the season. And so he has to make a choice.
Yeah,
The man is grown, and Charles could have easily said, "No, man, I don't want that,"
Right.
to Moses. And so a lot of times, we make choices based upon what we desire, whatever that is. And and sometimes you feel like you have it you have it all together, and you don't want to have a vet
Tell you what
or
to do.
someone tell you what to do because you feel like you're grown.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think there comes a time where you have to make a choice. There, he has teammates
yeah,
that work out. You can tell they work out.
yeah.
Like
Now,
CJ
if there's,
McCollum.
yeah, I mean, there are guys that are willing to do that. He has to make a choice on finding his way, as far as and there are quite a few people that I'm sure in the NBA that he can work out with that can help take him under his wing.
Actually, his own coach seems like somebody who would take him under his wing if he listened to him.
He has a choice. I'll just say that.
Listen, I completely agree with everything Charlie is saying. I've been saying it since before he got in the league. I was saying it like, dude, you got to lose that weight. You're not playing.
He's put on weight this season. If you look at pictures of him before the season started and
he looked great.
Pictures of him now, he's put on weight. And granted, he's injured and probably can't work out as much. But like Charlie said, it's a choice.
It's a choice, man. It's a choice. So anyway, all right. Well, next week we will officially start our breakdown of the draft and who's going where and what and when and how. It has become an annual thing on this show. Our draft analyzations. Is that analyzations? I sound like Shaq.
Analysis.
I'm working up words now. We'll get into some of that next week. And it'll be fun because we're about 2 weeks away from the NFL draft here. But as we leave,
can't wait for that to be over with. Jesus Christ, ESPN.
One thing about
my
ESPN,
Aaron Rodgers is the NFL draft.
One thing about ESPN, they will hammer to death the story. They will beat the story into the ground.
Especially when it's on their air.
Yeah, it's on a loop too. It's like, okay, I get it. Aaron Rodgers, I got it. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with a lot of these guys. Who we shouting out today? First of all, I want to give a collective. We're sending love and thoughts and prayers to the Louisville community. A horrific week, start to the week this week over it with the tragedy that happened, not just at the Old National Bank, but even at JCTC and some other places. It was a wild day. Like that day was a wild day. And I'm just glad that it wasn't worse than it could have been, although it was bad. It has been very, very bad. So we send our thoughts and prayers to the Louisville community. Okay. Shout outs, gentlemen. What are we doing?
I'll go ahead and just piggyback off of that because, as you know, I rarely wear U of L stuff, but I just felt like it was appropriate today after everything going. This shirt says Louisville first. Shout out to the community. Shout out to those who lost their lives at Old National Bank. It was very tragic to wake up on Monday morning, 8:30 Monday morning, and hear about another senseless mass shooting. Shout out to, taking it back to the sports side of things, shout out to the University of Louisville and Bellarmine University baseball teams. Because on that Tuesday, Louisville was supposed to play Kentucky in a top 10-15 matchup, whatever rankings you look at in baseball, because there's 100 of them. But they were supposed to play on Tuesday at Jim Patterson Stadium, had to cancel that game, of course.
Right.
And Bellarmine had to cancel their game against Moorhead, so they came together and played a game last night free of charge to the fans. Had a moment of silence before the game. There was a vigil, a citywide vigil at 5:00 yesterday for the victims of the shooting, and so they played the game last night for free for the fans, and had a Louisville Strong sign out in the outfield. If anybody who knows anything about Dan McDonald, he always is one of the first pillars in the community to jump in. To help anybody out in need. And this is another one of those situations. Bellarmine's head coach is a former Dan McDonald player. Lloyd, you probably remember Chris Dominguez.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know Chris took over that job.
Yeah. Chris, he's in his second year as the head coach at Bellarmine.
That's very cool.
And he's learned a lot from Dan McDonald. There's a lot of Dan McDonald in him. So shout out to him. And just the universities in this community for stepping up, and a big shout out to the guy. I don't get into politics, but shout out to the governor of the state, Andy Beshear. He's the stuff that man has been through in his governorship, from COVID to this to 2 major tornadoes in the state. Yeah, you got a rough go of it. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's something every 5 minutes for that man, and he's handled it with grace. He's very approachable, and he was phenomenal in his interview on CNN the other night. And so just shout out to those first responders who responded and took care of business in that situation on Monday.
Yeah.
And it's just shout out to my city. And it's been rough. It's been a rough few years for gun violence around here, and hopefully we can figure some things out.
Yeah. Charlie, who you giving your love to today, brother?
Well, people in Louisville, of course, that you all have mentioned. It's always disheartening to see um, people, going through these types of situations, and just know it's always a rally. We're always rallying around these types of events and praying for these families, because I often think about how, imagine, the pain you must feel. You wake up and that's not on your radar,
Right.
and so it's very, very challenging to be able to think about. And I would also like to shout out the Lady Seminoles softball team for their sweep of Clemson this
Oh, okay.
past weekend.
Yeah.
They swept Clemson last weekend, I think it was, in Clemson. So they've been playing well, and looking forward to them continuing to have a solid season. And also to daughter Hope. Hope is every Wednesday. She is one of the, I don't know what you call it, DJs, announcers uh, on KTCU,
Okay.
which is the radio station there at TCU, and so she's one of the DJs.
I think it's still DJs. They haven't changed that yet, I don't think.
So I'm not
We
sure.
love Hope on this show.
She's a host.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays. I think she's normally 2:00. I think it's 2:00, maybe Eastern time. I mean Central time. That she's on. So she's been doing well. And, she's had some dad jokes. So she's really that she's shared.
That's cool. That's cool. We love Hope. Hope, we're big Hope
I
fans.
say love Hopi.
Yeah, we're big Hope fans. Well, listen, it's going to be an interesting weekend, to say the least. My shout out is to the upstart Oklahoma City Thunder. I know I'm a Lakers fan. I'm proud of my Lakers, but I want to give some love to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That team is the most clueless team on the face of the earth, because they I don't know how they're doing it, but they are amazing. They're so much fun to watch, because you're like, y'all like rookies and second-year players, and you shouldn't be playing at this high of a level, but somehow they come together. They block out the noise. They block out the distraction. And it's ironic that the maturity that we just spoke about in relation to Zion Williamson, they have it. They are focused, and they're doing everything that you would want a team to do, man. And
I love Lou Dort.
Oh,
I love Lou Dort.
How can you not? How can you not?
That dude's a defensive specialist, and he's added a three. It's a weird looking jumper, but it
it's
goes
in.
Weird.
It's a very weird looking jumper.
I mean, he shoots that thing from his waist.
Oh man! But you know what's amazing about them? They just go about their business. They're quiet. They
just play the game.
They just go play the game, man. They're so much fun to watch.
And when they get Homer next year,
they're gonna be. Listen, they're building something special there.
They keep it all the way real. Hey, I probably would have gone ahead and lost that game the other night. You add another lottery pick to that team.
I mean,
no.
But they got like 45 draft picks. So
they do got like a million draft picks.
So I just wanted to show them some love, because I'm impressed by them. I really am impressed by them.
Because like I said, I was here when Shea was at UK, and like you didn't see this coming.
He didn't look.
He didn't even start.
Good, but he wasn't this good.
He didn't even start until like midway through the season at Kentucky.
That's a whole nother conversation because that's it's amazing. But I love them and I'm so proud of them. And I just wanted to show them some real quick love. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend, man. The playoffs start. NBA playoffs, man. Should be interesting. Should be very, 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 very interesting. It's wide open. So, all right. We love you guys. You have a great, great, great Thursday. We will see you back here next week with our, like I said, with our pre-draft conversations. With that being said, that's Kendrick Casson. That's Charlie Ward. I'm Lloyd Spence. Yeah. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time on Believe in the ACC.